Megan Hicks of I Run Far. I'm with Hayden Hawks. It's a couple days after his win of the Bryce Canyon Ultras 50K. Hey, Hayden, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's good to see you and talk with you again. It's been a while.
I know it's been a while. The pandemic has really broken down the traditional meetups that we have at locations around the world.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely miss it, but I think things are, somewhat getting back to normal. And so hopefully we'll be able to resume and be able to see you guys more often.
I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to
Oh,
that.
me too. Me too.
Okay, so you ran the Bryce Ultras 50K this weekend, set a course record as part of your lead up to racing Western States now in, what is it, 3 or 4 weekends time, right?
Yeah, about 4 weeks out.
4 weeks
Um,
out.
yep, yep.
Um, this is like kind of a non-traditional way to start an interview, but I am just dying to know why you picked Western States as your next target.
Well, last year I was supposed to run Western States last year in 2020 because
Okay.
yeah, I got a golden ticket at Bryce Canyon 100K because I'd won Bryce Canyon 100K in,
Black
or
Canyon, right?
not Bryce Canyon, yeah, sorry, Black Canyon
That's right.
100K, yeah, in February of
That's right.
2020. And previously actually I had applied for the spot for the Ultra Trail World Tour, and luckily they gave me an entry into Western States, and then I ran Bryce or Black Canyon 100K and ended up getting a ticket there, but I actually gave that ticket to the third place guy. But yeah, like, so Western States has kind of been the goal since 2019, since I
Okay.
DNF'd at UTMB in 2019. I've been dying to get back to running the 100-mile distance. I haven't yet finished a 100-mile race, and I've really wanted to, I guess put my stamp on that and finish a 100-mile distance. But also, yeah, like Western States has just been a goal race for years. Since I started doing ultra marathons, Western States has always been a race that I've wanted to line up at. So
What is like fun for me to watch in your running career is that you just kind of put yourself out there. You try a lot of different things, not necessarily like in your known wheelhouse. And sometimes it goes, and sometimes it's like a learning experience for the next time. And sometimes you say, you know what, maybe that's not my thing. Yeah, like that's for me, that's fun to watch because you've gone and you've tried the 100-mile distance before, and now you're trying again. So it's cool to watch.
yeah, for sure. Like I've always just said, you're never going to know what you really like or what you really love to do until you've tried it. And so like I've just wanted to kind of put my foot in every distance, every type of race, and really see what I love to do and what inspires me, because I'm still pretty young in the sport. And, especially like I'm really driven to train. I'm really driven to compete in all the biggest races in the world, but I really don't know 100% what I love to do yet. And so that's why I put myself in those races, because I'm like, do I love the mountain races or do I love the more runnable races? I don't know, and I'll never know until I try them. And so I'm really excited to line up at Western States because it's actually a different race than I've ever done before. I've done a lot of runnable races, of course, and done well at them, but I've never done it over 100 miles. And so that's where like there's an intrigue with Western States because it's something different. It's something I've never really tackled before.
Yeah, I admire that quality in you, that desire to just like stick your foot in and yeah, like put it in a place you haven't tried before and just see if it sticks or not. That's fun.
Yeah, and you learn a lot. You learn a lot from the good races. You learn a lot from the bad races. You learn more from the bad races than the good races, is what I've seen. And really, I've learned how to adapt my training. I've learned how, what type of training I need to do to make sure I'm ready for the demands of these races. And I would have never learned those things if I would have never gone out and tried, and failed at a lot of some of those, I guess, those races.
Side note, it's funny to hear you say that you're fairly young in the sport, because when I think of Hayden Hawks, I'm like, oh, he's been around for so long now.
Yeah, I mean, it's only been 5 years, a little over 5 years that I've been in the sport, which I guess it's getting a little bit longer now, but 5 years is still pretty new, I think, in the sport. And I'm still learning things every single day. Every race, I'm learning things. And I feel like when I learn those things, I just get better. And I'm really excited for the future, because I'm only 30 years old, and I think I still have 10, 15 years in this sport. And, that's a lot of learning. That's a lot of races and a lot of adventures to do.
Right on. Let's backtrack to the pandemic a little bit. Most of the races around the world got canceled, but you managed to get to the starting line of a few, most notably JFK. That
Yeah.
that turned out well for you.
Yeah, that one went well, for sure. I had a good day out there, and that was a race that I'd never really done like a flat ultra marathon like that, where it was mostly, runnable, where I was clipping off, 5-6 minute miles consistently for 50 miles. Like, I've never had done anything like that. And so, when I saw that JFK was going to happen last year, I was like, well, this might be a good, race to train for, a goal that I can go after. It's a race that I've of course known about for years, and I've wanted to do, but I've never been able to fit it into the schedule, just because usually I'm in Europe, during the fall racing, or some international race, because I really do love traveling internationally. But when it opened up, I was like, hey, this is a great opportunity. Like, I've been working a lot on speed during the pandemic, and doing a lot of really fast paced, harder type workouts. Just because I was training, by myself mostly, and just kind of wanted to develop speed. And I was like, okay, like, let's do it. Let's line up and see how it goes. And, fortunately, I had a really good day, and it turned out to be a great performance for me.
Did you jump into that race last minute? Like, how much warning did you have?
Maybe a month out or so.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was going to happen, and I really wasn't sure if I should even do it. But when I decided, like, when I felt comfortable that it was going to be okay, and some of the precautions they were taking were going to be good, I was like, okay, let's try it. I think it'll be just fine. And so yeah, I went out, I flew out, and yeah, I signed up and did that race.
Did you have enough time to like cater a couple specific workouts or long runs to that, or was it just like you said, what you were doing during the pandemic just aligned pretty well?
Yeah, so I had a few workouts, that I was able to do specifically for that race, and really that's been something that I've been focusing on a lot, not just for JFK, but for Western States training, and a lot of the races I did last year was after UTMB. After I DNF'd UTMB in 2019, I realized that I didn't train properly for UTMB. I just was going out and running miles and just getting vert just to get vert, or just running just with not even thinking about like why I was doing certain things. I just was running. And I learned that in ultra marathon, it's so important to meet the demands of every single race. Like, you need to train for the demands of each race. So after UTMB, I sat down and I said, okay, well, what races do I want to do? I wrote that race down, and then underneath each race, I wrote down the demands of each one of those races. And I said, okay, for this race, I need to be ready for the heat. For this race, I need to get vert. For this race, I need to do this. And then I started training for demands instead of just training for no reason. And I started putting blocks together to where, like, okay, this specific workout is going to prepare me for this specific part of the race, or, this is when I'm going to do my heat training. This is when I'm going to do this. This is when I'm going to do that. And as I've been able to focus on more meeting the demands of races, I've done well, in the races, because I'm prepared for everything that could be thrown at me in that race. And so before JFK, I did do some specific demand type workouts. But luckily I had a good base before I actually signed up for the race of speed, because after I ran Squaw Peak and Speed Goat that summer here in Utah, I decided I was going to do a more of a speed phase during the fall and develop some speed back after a mountain summer.
Okay.
And so I had a good, I guess, base of speed, and then I was able to do the specific workouts, you know, that 4 to 6 weeks or whatever before, and be ready for the demands of JFK.
It's really, there's some great nuggets in what you just said for like any runner out there being able to, uh, at the same time, look at the specifics of what you're doing for your training, but then also be able to like zoom out and look at it full spectrum from like the 20,000 foot perspective to look at how am I, how am I working towards the like the key line items of the event you're training for. I think that's like a difficult thing to be able to nail both perspectives.
Yeah, and every race has different demands. You know, UTMB has completely different demands than Western States does. And so like what I do is I set that goal now of the race I want to do, and then I work back from that race and I set my training plan up to where every run has a goal. You know, like even my easy days, there's a goal in those easy days, or I'll pick a certain route on my easy days that I know are going to strengthen me in some area that's going to prepare me for that specific race that I'm training for. And so that's been really a key element to my training recently, is just like, all right, I have a workout scheduled. Well, maybe I should do this workout on the same type of terrain that I'm going to be racing on. That way I you know, my muscles are ready for the specific demands of that, you know, and I'm able to run fast on technical terrain or whatever it is. You know, those are just examples. And so it helps me meet every demand. And that way, like, because, you know, a lot of the times, like when you're running a race, especially 100 miles, things are just thrown at you that you don't really see coming, and you have to adapt, or you have to, like, you know, troubleshoot right on the spot to try to get through those things. But if you do those things in training the best that you can, of course, you're probably not going to get all of them down, but if you can get most of them down, at least you'll be prepared for when those things come. You'll know how to troubleshoot, you'll know how to adapt, and you won't freak out mentally or physically, and you'll be able to get through them easier, is what I'm seeing.
I feel like that's a good dovetail to talking for a few minutes about Western States. You said in the beginning of the interview, you want to get this 100-mile thing down. You gave it a shot one time, and now you're back to try it again. What are some of the, like I know they're like UTMB and Western States are like different animals for 100-milers, but what are some of the lessons that you took away from that first experience that you are applying to preparing for Western?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, what I talked about with the training, of course, and doing that. But I think the other thing is to respect it. I think I've gone through my career, especially at a young age in my career, not respecting distances enough, not respecting races or mountains or competitors enough. I just kind of like had this blind confidence, which can be a good thing sometimes, but as I've matured as a runner, I've become more respectful of each race, and being like, you know, I need to respect the 100-mile distance. You know, I need to make sure I'm properly trained for it, but also I need to make sure that I go into there with some humility. You know, that I'm not, you know, like I think it's good to have confidence, but you need to have kind of humble confidence, if that makes sense. Like you need to a balance. Exactly.
Yeah.
You need to have a balance. And that's what I seen. Like, to be honest with you, I didn't respect UTMB. Like I thought it was going to be easy. I was like, oh yeah, I can do this. I did CCC, right? Like I won CCC. Like I should be able to win UTMB, you know, it shouldn't be a problem. But I was totally wrong. Like, you know, that extra 40 miles is a big difference. And the competition level at UTMB is much higher. I mean, there's a lot of things that you need to respect, and you need to make sure that you're prepared for. And I just wasn't prepared properly. And so that's what I'm learning a lot, you know, and going into Western States, I'm giving the utmost respect to Western States, knowing that, you know, it's going to be hard. I need to be prepared to suffer. I need to be prepared to have hard times. I need to be confident but humble at the same time. And first I need to focus on finishing, like, yeah, I love winning races, and I believe I can win races. I really do. I have confidence that I can win, and I have won, but I need to focus on what's most important first. And what's most important is to finish that race and to go out there and have a race that I'm proud of. And if that means I don't win, that's okay with me, but I hope I do win. And I think that if I put things together and I train properly and I do the little things and I stay humble through the process, like, I think I can win, but I'm not focused on that, if that makes sense.
Totally. It's really refreshing to hear your take on, yeah, like the 100-mile distance being kind of its own animal. And yeah, I mean, it's ultra running, but then there's just this a little bit extra that is 100-mile running. And that, yeah, I just like the idea. I like the idea of personally reflecting on that balance of humility and confidence.
Yeah, and in the past, I think I went into a lot of longer distance 100Ks and UTMB and TDS and stuff like that I struggled with, training like a 50K runner and an 80K runner. But I'm learning that that's not how you need to train. It's different. Like, it's 100-mile training is definitely different. And sometimes you got to get out of your comfort zone, and you got to be able to switch your training up a little bit and do things that are maybe uncomfortable, so you can be properly prepared to tackle that distance.
Well, this is making me pretty excited for that Saturday in June, and yeah, 3.5 weeks from now. So congratulations to you on your win at Bryce 50K over the weekend. And yeah, good luck with the last bit of sharpening and getting ready for Western.
Yeah, I'm excited. This will be my last big week, and then I'll have a good little, maybe a moderate week, and then a couple week taper. Just making sure, like, preparing now for the heat is going to be most important. And luckily, I have St. George, which is already up to 100 degrees right now, and I'll be definitely prepared when I reach this, or when I step on the starting line at Western States.
Yeah, down there in southern Utah, you're in perfect training grounds that aren't the Western States course right now.
Yeah, it's not a bad place to live and train for sure, and I'm really excited about the race. It'll just be fun to be out there with everyone again, and to be able to have an amazing field to line up, against. And I'm just really excited to finally tackle the 100-mile distance again, and feel like it's going to be a good day, as long as I prepare myself properly, which I feel like I have.
Right on. Well, we look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks. Thanks, Hayden.
Thank you.